You're listening to the Masonic Light Podcast. Starring Pete Ruggieri, Larry Maris, and Jason Lewis. This podcast is not endorsed by any Grand Lodge, and the ridiculous ramblings of the hosts are their own. So sit back and enjoy some Masonic conversation without pretension. And now, here's your hosts, Pete, Larry, and Jason.
And Jack.
Hey, that's me. Hey, and welcome to episode 47 of Masonic Light Podcast.
Pete, it sounds strange in here. What's different?
There's no dogs barking.
That must be what.
Yes, we are broadcasting to you, recorded from the Heritage Hotel, also known as Loxley's. We're about to have a grotto meeting in a couple hours, so we're still lucid. Currently. So today we're going to have Bryan Hill is going to come back on the show today and talk a little bit more about TO lodges. That's not, if you're a football fan, that's not Terrell Owens, even though he did get in the Hall of Fame. It's a traditional Observance lodge. But we're going to start off how we always do. We're going to go around the room and say what we've done Masonically. So, Larry, you're right next to me. Have you done anything other than heal?
Other than heal? Well, I healed, yeah. I did a petition committee last week and Goose and Gridiron, which is always a fun thing to go to. And that's about it so far.
I saw they brought you cake.
They brought me cake. They made cakes for me. It was a spectacular recovery.
Jason, what'd you have going on? You had a lot of weird stuff happening.
I sat in the chapter. That was fun. We did, what degree was that we did, Jack?
That was the Mark Master Mason thing.
Was it the Mark Master? Oh, yeah, that's right. So I sat in that. That was fun. Extra meeting at Blue Lodge. My real close friend got his Master Mason degree, so it was fun to participate there. Secretary seminar, which is kind of a snoozer. And that's really about it since the last time.
Jack?
Since last recording, we had a stated meeting at Ephrata. We also had an apprentice meeting, which is what caused me to miss your Lodge 43 presentation with Matt DuPay, which I really wanted to see.
Oh, yeah. It was Lodge Perfection, but yeah,
Lodge Perfection.
we did that as well.
So that's really kind of it. We're just breaking in the basement, making it feel more like home. So it's all good.
Another special guest here. We have Scott Helm, past master, worshipful master of Scarrett Lodge in Cochranville. There
Yes,
we
sir.
go. So welcome. How you doing?
Hello, how are you?
Hi, I'm living the dream. Podcaster. If they put all entertainers on the bus, I wouldn't even make it on the bus. So what have you done Masonically since the past 2 weeks?
I visited Jack's Lodge for his stated meeting. Sat through his wonderful presentation about a golf course.
It wasn't my presentation. That was somebody else's presentation.
Either way.
It was very long.
We went to Secretary's seminar yesterday morning. That was quite painful.
It was amazing.
Amazing. I was thrown under the bus at the District School of Instruction. I'm now the treasurer for that. Made eye contact, as you say. Still getting squared up from last night's Irish wake we had up in Scottish Rite. So
That was with the Hiram Scottish Riders?
yes, sir.
Very cool.
We had a midget and everything.
I think the proper term is little person.
Leprechaun. We had a leprechaun.
Okay, well. I'm just saying I wish I was there.
4 minutes and 52 seconds.
Bryan Hill, what have you done Masonically the past 2 weeks?
Well, Larry shamed me into going to see my good friend Matt DuPay at the Lancaster Lodge of Perfection, and it was a worthwhile trip. Larry didn't show.
Yeah, he does that.
Yeah. And he really missed out on something great. I know Jason was also there. It was a very thought-provoking presentation about somewhat about the future of Freemasonry and and why we're in the state of affairs that we are, and how the old timers are upset because young bucks like you guys, well, not you, Larry, are able to progress so quickly through lines of lodges, chapters, councils, and commanderies.
It's because nobody else wants the job. So, like,
Yeah. And then Wednesday, I was at a meeting of Kite and Key Lodge, the first traditional observance lodge in Pennsylvania, where we conferred a Master Mason's degree, the second of this year. And last month we also did a Master Mason's degree, and it's taken each of those brothers a year to progress up to becoming a Master Mason, and perhaps we'll talk more about that later.
I think so, yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And then the highlight of my week, I wish we were on Wednesday because that's hump day. That would be Goose and Gridiron Breakfast Society. That should be on Wednesday, hump day.
Wednesday.
Yeah.
we'll take it under advisement. So what have I had going on? I had last night I was in Valley. I don't know where it is either, near Shippensburg. Valley Tall Cedars Junior Senior Night. So since I'm the Senior Deputy Grand Tall Cedar, I got a free dinner if I drive 90 minutes in a tuxedo. So I did. So that was kind of fun. And then last week we put on our district deputy and our Right Worshipful Junior Warden and our principal of the School of Instruction from Moyer's Minutes. They all got their most excellent. No, it's the select and royal. Royal is the select Master Mason degree in council. And that was kind of fun. There's a lot of setup for that. Yeah, we all look at each other because there's so many different grips, knocks, and like just contortions that we all forget because we only do it like once a year. So that was it.
It's kind of like yoga for fat guys.
It's as close as we get, right? So these guys were talking about the speaker Matt at. So we're seeing if we can get permission to use that. Jason recorded some of the audio. So as long as we get a blessing from the speaker, we may be hearing that on a future episode.
Yeah, it was a great talk. So
Yeah, I'll remind you again that he is an attorney.
He did give you permission to record, correct?
yeah, but
Yeah.
he said that I can't do anything with it until he hears it.
Okay, cool.
So I got to get it to him after I edit it.
He wants to make sure he didn't accidentally say, have a Tourette's moment and say something inappropriate or.
And he didn't. It was
Right.
great. It was a perfect speech. Or lecture.
Perfect. Well, let's take a quick break and we'll come back and we'll talk to Bryan Hill about traditional observance lodges. Anyway, so we're back. Let's get a little more serious now. Now, well,
Finally.
Bryan Hill.
Yes.
So were you part of one of the charter brothers of that Kite and Key Traditional Observance Lodge?
I was.
Can you tell us a little bit about that process, how you got started, and what roadblocks you ran into, and what encouragement, etc.?
This program's only an hour long to talk about the roadblocks.
You have 15 minutes.
No, there were a bunch of brothers in the Lehigh Valley area, Allentown, and up in the mountains where I'm from. We're sitting around talking about how, gee, have you guys read this Masonic Restoration Foundation booklet on how lodges should operate? So we looked at the whole process of what a traditional observance lodge was, and we thought, maybe they're right. We have to go back to the future. So we formed a club, first of all, where we kicked around ideas and who would be the first officers and all that stuff, and met monthly for quite a while. Started the Burns dinner when it was good, Larry.
Oh, that was classic, yes. We
Yeah,
can talk
when
about
it was
that
good,
later.
Larry. And as a consequence, we got the blessing of the Grand Master, who actually encouraged us to do it. In fact, he might have been one of the few Grand Lodge officers that actually encouraged us to do this. The others were very guarded about it, were not in favor of it, and that's where the roadblocks came from.
Were you able to get it all done on that guy's watch?
Yes.
Oh,
yes,
good. Okay.
Yes. And he insisted we call it Kite and Key. If you remember, he learned that Benjamin Franklin didn't have a Masonic funeral service, largely because he was a modern and his lodge in Philadelphia became an ancient lodge, and they really didn't recognize him when he came back from France. So Grandmaster Ungst took a delegation to Christ Church in Philadelphia, and they performed a proper Masonic funeral service for him. So he asked us to please name it so it has some reference to Benjamin Franklin. So it was Kite and Key is how we came up with a number for it.
I think that's excellent, really excellent, very interesting too.
So what are some of the big differences? So if I'm going to join your Kite and Key Lodge as a non-Mason, what am I going to see that's different than if I join a regular Pennsylvania lodge?
Well, first of all, we're not going to have a billboard out that says, please join Kite and Key, and you can join us in a one-day class. It's going to take you longer. And what we do is if someone expresses an interest, or we know somebody that we know would be a good fit with us, we invite them to come to our festive boards, 2 or 3 of those. And we encourage them to sit with different brothers so that we get to know them and they get to know us. And if it looks like a good fit, then we give them a petition. We also explain to them what the process is, that you're not going to get in here in 3 months, the way it is in non-traditional observance lodges. And as a consequence, we get good people who want to join, and they want to join for all the right reasons. And when they get there, and they take their entered apprentice mason's degree, and we tell them, you're now a Freemason. And what we don't tell them is we say, well, you can't attend meetings because you're not a Master Mason, and until you're a Master Mason, you can't come to meetings, you can't vote, you really can't participate. They take their entered apprentice mason's degree, and then they're given assignments, reading assignments. They meet with their mentor, and they write a paper that they have to present in open lodge, and then we allow them to take the fellowcraft degree. And they go through the same process after that. A lot of learning, a lot of knowing what Freemasonry is and what it means to be a brother, and history of where we come from and why we do the things we do in traditional observance lodges. Write another paper, present that in open lodge, and then they can take their Master Mason's degree. But during this whole process, it takes sometimes a year or more to go through this entire process. But they always can come to meetings, as long as we're not doing a Master Mason's degree or something. We allow entered apprentices and fellowcrafts to attend the meetings, come to the festive boards where we have fun, which is a word many Masonic bodies don't know,
Bryan,
the word fun.
Does the lodge conduct its business on the entered apprentice degree?
Yes.
Okay.
Now we had to get we had to change our bylaws. A Grand Master came in, who we will not mention any names, and gave us quite a hard time about some of the things we were doing. For instance, at the end of our meetings, we have a chain of union. It's kind of a traditional thing to do in lodges in Europe, in particular. And we were told that we can't do that. We had to do it at our festive board, not after the meeting. Even though the Bible was closed, the meeting was over, and the person went out and told the Tyler that we were closed. So then subsequent Grand Masters loosened things up so that we changed our bylaws. We could do things in the entered apprentice mason's degree. We could do the chain of union at the end of the meeting after the Bible's closed and so forth. It's a very meaningful ceremony at the end, especially after a fellowcraft degree. And I think I can tell this without revealing any secrets, but we form a circle, and the junior warden tells the worshipful master that the chain is not complete. And he asks him why. He says, well, there's someone in our midst who hasn't been made a member of the circle. And the worshipful master turns to him and asks him a series of questions, one of which, the most interesting one, is, if there's someone in your lodge that you have a problem with, I don't mean to look at you,
Oh, that's a good
can
start.
you extend your hand in brotherly love? Well, if you can't do that, well, then you're missing the whole point of Freemasonry. And then he asks him, who gives you the most problems in your life? And then he says, turn around. His guide is standing behind him with a mirror. And he sees himself. And everyone that's experienced this has the same thought about it, that was probably a moment in my life that was so meaningful to know that I'm the guy that gives myself the most problems.
Wow. I had a hard time getting back to nonsense now.
I heard rumors that, Brian, I heard through people talking about Kite and Key that once you're a member, if you don't attend your meetings, you could be fined. Is that true, or?
No, well, because we know our brothers, because we're only 28 members, we know our brothers. And if they're not coming to meetings, we're going to ask them why. It can be that the business takes them away or something. Some of the brothers, well, no, I shouldn't say some, you're supposed to tell the worshipful master or the secretary why you can't be there. So you send your apologies. I'm sorry I can't be at the meeting because I have a meeting or some family obligation or something like that. But if they're not attending and they're not getting anything out of it, we don't encourage them to renew their membership at the end of the year. The dues, by the way, are $400 a year. Now, you do get 10 meals. We have our festive boards at the Rodizio Brazilian Grill, where if you like meat, you would love the Rodizio
If you complain,
Grill.
do they come out and do like jujitsu on you? And
No, they just come out with swords with meat on it and great big knives that cut it. But we have a grand time at our festive board because that is one of the things that we're really missing. Most lodges that I've been associated with, you go and you have a meal before the meeting, and it's sometimes tomato soup and grilled ham and cheese sandwiches or something like that. This is a real honest-to-God meal, ending with a series of toasts. We drink wine, which when we met in the Masonic temple, our temperance members
Heresy.
were really up in arms about that. You know, they're drinking wine down there? Well, the Grand Lodge sent us a letter and said, that's all right. As long as you're not buying the wine from lodge funds, it's okay. So,
How'd you get around that?
They
You
read
pay
they
for it
read the Hyman
yourselves?
reason.
yeah. They interpreted the Hyman reason for us and said, no, you can have it.
Exactly correct.
Yeah.
Say it's at table lodges, so.
Yeah, but at table lodges, most of them serve grape
juice.
juices.
Yeah, grape
That's
juice.
been my
But
experience.
you're doing this at the festive board, not in an open lodge.
Oh, correct. Yeah.
Right. See,
Yeah.
at the festive board, you can do that because it's not
An open
an
meeting.
open meeting. It's not a meeting that is now open.
Well, it's a matter of if the Temple Association, they can prohibit it if they want to. But they didn't.
Yeah.
When they said, well, the Grand Lodge says it's okay. Well, if the Grand Lodge says it's okay, well, it's okay, by God.
are there other TO lodges in Pennsylvania now that you've done this?
There are two others. There's one in Pittsburgh at Lucium and Lodge number 91, Columbia Lodge in Philadelphia. Was founded in 1805, and they decided after they saw what we were doing that they thought it was a grand idea. So they converted themselves into a TO lodge.
I think it's fabulous. It's just,
I do too. I think it's phenomenal.
some of us, that's the kind of, I probably didn't even know what it was called. But like for the past 5 or 10 years, whenever we get together talking, we always said, you don't need to make this easier. You need to make this harder. And, people will get more out of it. But
That's us looking at it from the inside out, right? That's not the management of the overall corporation looking at cash flow. The Grand Lodge has to look at cash flow. They have to. It's a multi-million-dollar business, and the TO model. I don't think they understand how well the TO model could fit into that business model, but it's just that they want more members. Just
Well, they also
Brought 2 members in last year, and it took until January and February for them to complete the Master Mason's degree.
I remember when all this was coming out.
We're not a degree mill.
Right.
Which is what most lodges are today, because we worship on the altar of bigness. And you have to be big because you've got a big Masonic temple. You've got the Masonic temple in Lancaster. They have to keep themselves going. And Allentown, the big Masonic temple there. There's a lot of real estate that has to be supported. You need big numbers for that.
I think the difficulty is differentiating. They're not mutually exclusive. You can have a model like the TO Lodge, like the Kite and Key and the other ones that you talked about. You can have them within the organization. And the organization can still do that Temple of Bigness thing that you were talking about. That's fine. That's fine. If any of those guys that are coming in through that Temple of Bigness thing look around and say, gosh, there's got to be more than this, then they can find that TO thing. But it's been restricted so much since it started that it's just not available. There's only a few places, like you mentioned, Allentown, Philly, and Pittsburgh are the only ones that really present that.
Well, it's not promoted by Grand Lodges throughout these United States, because some of them see it as a threat, I'm afraid.
Right.
That it's not the way we've always done things. And I could get into a whole dissertation about how I think that the ritualists have taken over Freemasonry, where it's all about the ritual. I thought maybe in Pennsylvania it would have been put to bed when we published our ritual, that we wouldn't be so crazed about it here in Pennsylvania, that everything is about the ritual. That's not crazy things like that, thee and thes, and arguments over that. And that's not the way I have it.
Brian, do you think that the new Right Marshal will be more supportive? He's changed a lot of ideas this year with, not becoming a membership drive as a Freemason.
Opening a first degree.
Opening a first degree.
Doing that at 2 meetings, that's a grand start, I think.
Do you see a change in the mentality towards TO lodges?
Well, certainly, I think the Grand Master, he supports TO lodges.
He's very about education.
Yeah.
So.
And I think he also sees that he's going to have some pushback from others if he goes too fast. So I thought it was a great idea and a great start to 2 meetings a year to open on the Enter Apprentice Mason's degree. And for the very reasons that he stated at his installation. It gives them a chance to see the pageantry and what a big deal Freemasonry is. And I agree with that. But his whole idea of education, that's part of what TO lodges are about. We don't want to have somebody coming in and talking about how you run a trap line for a program. Some of the programs we have are, maybe they're entertaining, but you're not really learning anything. You've got worshipful masters who work very hard at putting together programs, and the Grand Master comes out and says, "Now forget about that. You're going to do this program on this date and this program during this month, and be damned all of the work you put in. No, I have a better idea." And we know that Masonry doesn't happen in the Grand Lodge. Masonry happens in the subordinate lodges, and that's an idea that many Grand Lodge officers just haven't understood. That they think that Freemasonry revolves around the Grand Lodge. And I can say that because I'm an old guy, and what are they going to do to me? Send me to Vietnam? I don't think so.
They might send you to the home. Oh, no, wait a minute, you already live there.
I'm already at the home. Yeah.
All right, let's take a quick break.
It's not a home; it's a village.
Yeah.
It's a village.
It takes a village. We'll be right back with Bryan Hill.
You're about to enter
Corpora Obscura,
the realm of weird fraternal organizations.
Leave your Freemasonry behind.
Prepare to meet druids, caliphs, and wild creatures.
Knock thrice
and enter at your own risk.
Danny boy, are we featuring a great group today. Join us as we find our four-leaf clovers and discover the history of the Hibernians. Founded in New York City in 1836, the Ancient Order of Hibernians is an Irish Catholic fraternal organization. The order can trace its roots back to a series of similar societies that existed in Ireland for more than 300 years. Today, the Ancient Order of Hibernians exists in America, Canada, Ireland, England, Wales, and Scotland. However, while the organizations share a common thread, the American Ancient Order of Hibernians is a separate and much larger group. Members must be Catholic and either born in Ireland or of Irish descent. Its name was adopted by groups of Irish immigrants in the United States. Its purpose to act as guards to protect Catholic churches from anti-Catholic forces in the mid-19th century, and to assist Irish Catholic immigrants, especially those who face discrimination or harsh coal mining working conditions. Many members in the coal mining area of Pennsylvania had a background with the Molly Maguires. It has become an important focus of Irish-American political activity. Active across the United States, the Order seeks to aid the newly arrived Irish, both socially and economically. The many divisions and club facilities located throughout the country have traditionally been among the first to welcome new Irish immigrants. Here, Irish culture, art, dance, music, and sports are fostered and preserved. The newcomers can meet some of their own and are introduced to the social atmosphere of the Irish-American community. The Ancient Order of Hibernians have been on the forefront for issues concerning the Irish, such as immigration reform, economic incentives, both here and in Ireland, human rights issues, right to life, and a peaceful and just solution to the issues that divide Ireland. The Order has also provided a continuing bridge with Ireland for those who are generations removed from the ancestral homeland. The Ancient Order of Hibernians sponsors many programs associated with promoting our Irish heritage, such as the Irish Way program, scholarship, and National History Day sponsorship. The Hibernians remain very active. To be a member, you must be a male, age 16 or older, a practicing Catholic and of Irish descent by heritage or birth, or legally adopted by someone who is. The ancestry requirement is waived for clergy. Want to learn more about America's fraternal history? Visit the J.H. Rathbone Museum in person in Lafayette, Indiana, or online at jhrathbonemuseum.org. And be sure to like us on Facebook.
And we're back.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. We're here with our guest, Bryan Hill from Kite and Key Lodge. And you are listening to episode number, I don't even know.
46.
47.
47.
47.
Let's just say 54 for the guys in Australia so we can
Metric.
we can get ahead of them.
Speaking of Australia, did
Yes.
you listen to their last podcast?
I have not.
1 hour and 52 minutes.
Jack, what are you doing?
What are these
Sounds like a
guys
state of
slacking
being.
down there?
Larry, they're on the metric system. It's only like a half an hour.
Oh.
I will tell you my Jack Aquilina story. He was in Hawaii for 2 weeks, and he shot a message to me on Facebook, and he said, now that I'm in your lovely country, and I said, well, I mean, it is technically a country, but
3,000 miles away.
most of us
Never see it.
yeah, we've never seen it. He said, well, I bought a U.S. SIM card for my phone, so let's actually have a conversation on the phone. So that's great. I'll call you on my way home from work. So I called him. We chatted. Again, couldn't understand a word those guys say, and his connection was so bad that finally I was like, Jack, if you can hear me, I'll just see you on Facebook in a couple of weeks. Safe travels.
Hawaii lost me. They have interstates. Okay, just let that sink in. Just let that sink
Drop
in.
the mic.
Oh, Lord.
But in any event, and you also just listened to Seth Anthony in Corpora Obscurum. At least that's what Larry said.
Yes, we did.
And
Always
the news
good.
from
Always
Australia is very interesting right now.
Oh yeah, if you check out Masonic Light podcast on Facebook, and you can see an article I just posted.
Yeah.
I'll cut to the chase. The Australians say this guy was not the guy in the article was not even a Freemason, but they're having a big argument with the newspaper for alleging that he was.
The naked guy.
That would be the one. Yeah. Now, if the article was like this grotto guy was found naked,
What's
like,
really
oh, okay.
important is that if you're ever a journalist and you have an opportunity to write an article about Freemasonry, make absolutely sure that you don't speak to a Freemason about that. None of them ever interview an actual Mason. They interview ex-Masons or the police that arrested the ex-Mason. But they never talked to the Masons about that. So, yeah, it's brilliant.
So we're sitting here today. We're, like I said earlier, we're at Loxley's restaurant, and we're going to have our grotto meeting in a couple hours. So it's about ready to get really loud in here as these upstanding young men start sauntering in.
Drinks in hand.
So yeah, we want to get a few more minutes here with Bryan Hill before this room gets a little bit too crazy.
Yeah, we drink after the meeting, not before the meeting.
This is Grotto, Brian.
What are,
I know.
what are all these
Deal
drinks
with it.
sitting here on the table that we opened the bar way before? Oh, okay, never mind.
So Brian, any big upcoming events for Kite and Key? Larry and I were fortunate enough to go to the Robert Burns dinner. Thank you for the invite. Well, it wasn't very good, but thank you for the invite.
No, I'd have to agree. It was not one of our. Well, it was our worst effort. It was not even one of our best efforts. No, it was one of our worst, and yeah, we'll let it at that.
I had the honor of going to one that was at the Brazilian Steakhouse, and I rode home with you in
the rain
in a meat-induced coma. That was very interesting.
Well, let me ask you a question.
Uh-oh.
Did you enjoy that experience of the festive board?
I did. I absolute straight up. I wish I had been farther down the table, more in the middle of the conversation, because there was some interesting conversation happening toward the middle of the table that I was only getting tangentially. But yes, I enjoyed it a great deal.
Yeah.
It was
one of our members is Ted Schick,
Yeah, I know
the chair
Ted.
of the Academy of Masonic Knowledge.
Oh, the razor guy. Yeah.
It's a lot of
No, that's King Gillette. Oh, sorry. He was a Mason too.
That was Harry.
Sorry, Ted, if you're listening to this, we do apologize.
Yeah. No, I asked him that question because he's had some actual knowledge and experience with Kite and Key. And you're asking about what's coming up. I'm not sure what the program is next month, so you're asking me a question that I'm not consulted anymore. I think I'm a past master, so they don't ask me anymore. I think go.
Brother Schick will be joining us in August at the AMD in-gathering in
He'll be at the Academy on March 17th as well.
Yeah, at St. Patrick's Day, so I'll be in a bar, but you guys have fun at the little Nerd Fest. Sorry.
which you usually go to.
Thank you very much.
Seth would probably like us to plug Academy of Masonic Knowledge.
So yeah, March 17th, Elizabethtown.
No nerds.
Well,
all highly educated Masons.
Scholars.
Scholars.
Only a few pocket protectors.
Oh, by the way, I am a Masonic scholar, level 1.
Pete grew up associating nerd with scholar, so it's a thing.
Brian, one of the things I wanted.
Okay.
Okay,
I was waiting for somebody to change it.
I've got to get this in.
This whole thing.
I've got to get this in before this alcohol fries my mind.
Yeah.
You are on this program for the second time. No one in the history of Masonic Light podcasts has ever been invited back twice.
What's a podcast?
Podcast?
Where frogs grow.
Oh, boy. My tongue's feeling numb.
But I wanted to tell you about the meeting. You didn't give me a chance to.
Okay, but I just wanted to mention.
I just slid a note over to Pete, and he can't read because he's had too much rum in him, you know. But no, there are a couple of really neat things about the meeting.
What meeting?
A Kite and Key meeting, a traditional observance lodge. Yes.
That's where
you know our topic today, Larry.
What?
I think the best thing is we don't read minutes.
Oh, that's good.
We don't ask visitors or past masters for remarks after the meeting.
You cut
for
15
instance,
minutes off right there.
Usually hear this. See if this doesn't sound familiar to you. I'd like to congratulate the officers on a fine meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah, never heard that. Yeah.
Have you ever heard anybody say, "Boy, the ritual was really crappy tonight"? No, nobody ever. It's always like, you did a really good job for you.
Yeah. So we call on each visitor at the festive board for a response to the toast. Each one of them does. And it's kind of neat. when Gene Harrett, the now Grand Master, visited our lodge, we had members of Prince Hall lodges, past masters, worshipful masters, district deputies, and one of the Prince Hall Masons said, "You know, I have never felt brotherhood like this in the fraternity before." And it was just a magic moment. We knew that we nailed it when we heard that.
I want to say this about Prince Hall, and I know this episode isn't about Prince Hall, but whenever I've attended a Prince Hall Mason meeting, I go back to my lodge and I want to do it better. Have you experienced that? There's a lot of nodding heads at the table, but I don't think anybody knows what.
They're spot. At least Mount Horeb that I've been to, they're spot on with a ritual, and they do more of the Webb Preston. So like, there's a lot more explanation between degrees with lectures that we don't have in Pennsylvania.
But they respect the work at a different level than what we do in our Blue Lodge, and I think that's awesome, and I think TO does that as well. They respect the work, and you're not, you argue that it's not ritual obsessive, but it's important. The ritual is important in TO.
Sure, but it's nothing that if someone turns the wrong way at their chair, it's not the end of the world. Right. For instance, and many grumpy old past masters get upset about that. He didn't turn the right way at his chair.
Oh, so you've been scared.
Yeah. Well, I want to tell you about the principal of the School of Instruction used to go to lodge meetings. He'd be there with a district deputy, and he would have one of those thumb counters, and someone would have a wrong word, and you'd hear it click. The guy turned the wrong way in his chair. Click. Can you imagine that? And then he would tell the master, "Well, you had 23 mistakes tonight." I mean, what the heck is that about?
First one was letting him in the door.
That's brotherly love. That's what that is.
Yeah, because a past master told me one time after I did a degree, and I wasn't a stellar performance, he said, "Any degree that you can walk away from was a good degree." So I subscribe to that thinking,
I mean, we all know that we make good men better one right-hand turn at a time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Within the length of your cable toe.
Hey, turn right at the light.
Keep on straight until night.
There you go. All right, Brian, thank you very much. Stick around, but we're going to go a quick break, and then we're going to have another amazing special guest.
What?
A bonus guest.
Bonus.
This is Mark Mattern, Grand Senior Warden for the Grand Commandery of Knights Templar of Pennsylvania. You're listening to Masonic Light Podcast.
Well, a brother wants fun, so where does he go? Ubar Grotto. He can even wear a fez and put on a show. Ubar Grotto. You're greeted with a smile as you walk through the door. You don't even know what you're signing up for. So call off the labor and unpack your lunch. It's time to get down with a rowdy bunch of your friends. It's Ubar Grotto again.
Ubar Grotto, home of the original traveling fez.
All right, we're back with a special guest, probably the highest office in all of Freemasonry. Well, we have the monarch of Ubar Grotto with us today, Shaun Sponagle.
Correct.
Was that correct spelling?
Yeah, you actually correctly
pronunciation. I guess that's what I said. Well, welcome.
Welcome. Thank you.
Have you ever listened to our show?
No. I actually listened for the first time only because you guys spoke about me last time. So I played it like twice in bed with my wife, and she wasn't impressed. So I was like, you gotta listen to this, honey.
Was she not impressed at the podcast, or not impressed in whatever else you were trying?
She was convinced Jack was drunk because he actually gave me a gold star.
I did.
And I was in tears because it's like impressing your mentor and then hearing that you've impressed that guy. So
that'd be a whole nother level of manliness. If you could perform while this show is on.
This is Jack Harley out.
Well, welcome.
No, I've listened many times.
Good.
Yeah.
So we're in February. This is your second official meeting.
Second official. Yes.
So how you liking your year so far?
I hate it. I'm hoping next month I can get impeached and be the first monarch that's ever been impeached. And I think you know which picture I'm talking about that I, might put out there. But
Well, we've been warning you for years not to.
No. You promised you burned that picture.
I never burn
Can't
anything.
burn electrons.
I'm trying right now.
You should.
So Shaun, you have a couple weird little jobs for your career.
Are you talking about my children?
No.
My weird little children? Or, yeah, I do. A monarch, I guess, is a career. Kind of.
At least one day a month.
It's up there with like President Trump. That's a weird little career.
It's
for
a
him.
year-long career.
Yeah.
Be careful, dude.
He's at a small.
Thin ice
Hey,
right now.
he's making less money. Moved to a smaller
Are we
house.
being monitored because we're on the internet?
Yes.
Okay.
So you are a state constable.
Soros is watching.
Can you give us a 30-second description of what a state constable is? Because most people don't know.
Well, do you remember that scene with the Three Stooges where they pretended to be cops? That's it right there. At least that's been my experience with the guys I work with. And hopefully none of them are Masons and are listening to this.
Let the record show that Jason is having a stroke right now.
We can ask.
There's gonna be a lot of.
We can
editing.
ask Bryan Hill, a former warden of a prison. What do you think of state constables?
I think they have their place.
Thank you.
That would be in the men's room.
Who is this guy anyway? Did I offend somebody important?
Maybe.
This guy in charge of us?
He's kind of a big deal.
Like big deal in Grotto?
Oh, not in Grotto.
Oh,
no.
no. Oh.
Oh, he's chic.
I just got to make sure my blue lodge is paid for. Oh, warden. Yeah, he's a big deal. Yeah.
So, Shaun, you own a cigar shop. You're kind of a cigar expert. Oh, that's this.
You have an in with me, but you don't have an out.
Yeah, besides being Monarch, a part-time constable for the state of Pennsylvania, I do own a cigar shop, yes.
I was there this afternoon.
Yeah, Jack was there. I saw him
pre-grotto.
I saw him. I saw you on videotape. I was watching my phone because I got the cameras working again.
That's pretty freaking scary.
Yeah.
We might as well mention the name of the store. It's DNS Cigar Shop in Lancaster, Pennsylvania.
Yes, at
They
Chelsea
do
Square
have
on
a
Route 17.
web presence,
Yes.
albeit weak, but they do have a web presence.
You have been judged by Larry.
This would be a good,
Larry,
good
I
place
only
to
represent my
advertise.
shop like I represent my customers. Sometimes they're weak too, but we all have our issues. But yes, we do have a website, www.dnscigar.com.
And you have the best cigars. You really, really have
They
a
do.
great shop. The bottom line is, though, I wish I could order them online and have them shipped to me because I don't get over that way a lot.
Well, I see. I can't card you if we do it over the internet, and I got to legally.
If
know
you
your
have the
age.
proper documentation on your
All right.
Or
And
if you
moving on to
send me,
masonry.
if you send your senior card, I can give you a discount.
All right, see,
too.
there you go.
Yeah.
Larry just ruined a funny show. Thank you.
Oh, by the way, I have to ask you, did you get to notice that Ethan's Bible is ready at Lodge?
Yeah, I got
It's
it.
only
He's
taken 9 months.
been a Mason, what, a year?
Yeah.
And John Reese, will you tell John his is ready? He's been a Mason, what, 2 years?
So for those
You
of
just
you
mentioned
that
it, John,
don't know
'cause he
the
listens to this
background,
all the time.
Ethan had his 3 degrees
At Grand
conferred at the Grand Lodge of Pennsylvania in Philadelphia.
In the Egyptian room.
In the Egyptian room.
Youngest one to do it.
It
too.
was absolutely
And
stunning.
Jack, who was just speaking, was the conferring master on the 3rd degree.
Third, yes.
I conferred
Yes.
his 3rd degree.
Again.
And it was absolutely, I felt like Edith Ann in the big rocking chair and sitting in the chair.
Yeah, you looked like a little kid in the East.
It was so awesome. It was like playing Carnegie Hall. It was incredible, and I thank you for the opportunity.
No, I thank
sincerely
you.
to do that.
That was when we were closer, and I really liked you, so I
Yeah.
really feel good. But
But
now,
yeah.
now you have like history in my life,
I
in
know.
my child's life. So
You're a jackass.
I get. I get emotional when I think about that day. Seriously, I do, because it was one of the most special things that I've ever seen my son go through. And I got away with a lot of pictures that nobody saw. But, you know, I look at them at night in bed and go,
Shaun needs a Kleenex, by the way.
Not that one.
It was a very cool
Yeah,
day.
it was very cool. And it meant a lot to him, too. He really, really liked it.
Yeah, we've seen him at Lodge a lot since then.
Once.
Well, he needs to show up to pick up his Bible.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Ethan, if you're
Next
listening,
Tuesday.
you should probably go to Lodge.
Don't petition a TO Lodge.
But yeah, we do. Well, see, the one time I took him to Lodge last year, like everybody bum rushed him, and I said, no, we just sit there, nothing big happens. And the next thing you know, they're honoring one of the oldest member in our lodge. And then they're like, oh, let's bring up the youngest member of our lodge. And Ethan looks at me and goes, you knew this was going to happen. I said, I honestly had no idea about this. And I said, but the fun part is there's a lot of purple in here. So this is going to take like 5 hours for this meeting tonight. and it did. We were there till like 11:45. So Ethan was like, yeah, next time we're going to go to one, don't tell me about it. You know, but, you know, we do want to get to some lodge meetings. You know, now that his trip got a little delayed.
Well, you can go to one down and scare it. There's like 10
Yeah.
minutes down there.
Okay.
Because they forget a lot of stuff.
Okay. Yeah. I'll take that recommendation. Okay. Is that your lodge?
No, that's Scott's.
Fight
That's
back.
yeah,
Fight
yeah,
back,
yeah.
Scott. Fight back. Come on now.
So,
Anyway, thank you. We'll keep the mics on, but
Let's should we wrap it up and go home?
yeah, let's do that.
All right.
So, what we're going to do for you newbies, we're going to talk about what we have going on Masonically the next couple of weeks. So we'll start with you, Shaun. So, what do you have?
pleasure.
What do you have grotoglically the next 2 weeks?
well, let me look at my calendar. I think got a lodge meeting at Blue Lodge next week, so I can pick up a Bible and 2 name
Well, what are you doing
badges.
tonight? What are we doing tonight at
Tonight
Grotto?
we're doing Grotto, which is Ubar Grotto, and it's probably the best thing in my life right now besides being married. It's just awesome.
You are so
Yes.
full of crap.
I am full of crap. Yes.
What do you know? What's on the menu?
It's gopher for groundhog, I think, but we couldn't get
attaboy.
groundhog, but it's actually gopher because this is Lancaster County and we have more.
Groundhog is a protected species.
Is it?
Yeah, you're not.
Well,
allowed
Dave
to-
Steffi's the one that shot it on his farm, so we're technically.
He was eating his crops.
Any other program for tonight? Are we doing a degree? Are we?
We're doing a short degree.
Oh, nice.
With one candidate. We're talking about a lot of important stuff.
I heard that the candidate tonight is the past district deputy Grand Tall Cedar from York.
Wow,
It's kind of a big deal.
So we can corrupt somebody big.
Oh yeah, it's kind of a big
Yeah.
deal.
Yeah,
Oh, no,
it is
it's
big.
Rick Snyder. No, it's not a big deal.
So,
Scott, what do you have going on next couple weeks?
Tomorrow night is District School of Instruction for the 5th Masonic District.
So exciting.
Oh, yeah. Thursday is district visitation down at Kennett Lodge. So hope to see you there, Pete, because you are now a member of the 5th Masonic District.
I am, and Kennett is my hometown.
There you go. So mushrooms for everybody.
Wow, not
It's the
since
mushroom,
college.
It's the mushroom capital of the world.
Self-proclaimed, I heard. But
Nobody's challenging it. Jack, what do you have going on next couple weeks?
Grotto tonight. Just a couple of weeks off. It's all good.
Jason?
Well, thanks to our production schedule, most of these things will have already happened by the time we put the show out. But on Friday, the 2nd, I will be traveling to New York City to watch one of our Lodge 43 brothers perform a duet. He's a concert cellist, and he's playing with a pianist. So we're going to do that on Friday night and immediately hit the road to head back to set up for what
It took everything I had not to say the punchline.
You failed to mention that he's at Carnegie Hall.
I said I'm going to New York City to watch him play Carnegie
Yeah,
Hall,
but you didn't say Carnegie
No,
Hall.
you did not say Carnegie Hall.
It's
And
kind of
that's
a big.
important.
You said New York.
Yeah.
It could have been an Irish pub he was playing.
What's the matter with you?
So there's this little club in New York City called
It's a
Carnegie
crack
Hall.
house, but yeah.
And
It'll be
so
playing
it's
on.
Jerome. What's his drum's last name?
Right, drum right.
So you guys Google him. He's kind of a big deal.
It's kind of a big deal. Then we'll be turning around immediately for our March 3rd lecture series with the guys from the Masonic Roundtable and Chris Rodkey. But that has already happened by the time you listen to this, so you'll
Yeah,
hear
sorry,
about
Jason,
it in a week
I'm
or
not going to
two.
be able to attend that. Like an idiot, I rescheduled a work session at our lodge, so As Marshal Master, I should probably show up to that.
Why don't you come to our lodge and
Bring
change the lights?
your work schedule to the meeting, and they will.
Yeah, but that's about it. Those are the two big things on my plate.
Larry, you have anything else going on besides monitoring your heart?
Grotto tonight, Tuesday, Tall Cedars. I'll be there. Seafood night.
Woot woot.
Master Mason night.
Yeah, Grotto. Goose and Gridiron Thursday. Lodge meeting the following week. And the Bibles are ready, so please tell Ethan to come pick up his Bible. And John Reese, if you're listening, get there on Tuesday.
I will tell them. Thank you.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Yes, thank you.
It's only taken
Bryan
a year
Hill.
and two to get it.
What do you have going on next
I'm
couple
so
weeks?
excited. Oh, my God.
Friday night, Jordan Chapel of the Commemorative Order of St. Thomas of Acon. Saturday morning, all in Allentown, by the way, will be a meeting of the operatives. In the afternoon, the Masonic Order of Athelstane. And Sunday morning, Garuda Temple number 5 of the August Order of Light.
He sounds like Ed McMahon.
What?
Aruga, isn't that a restaurant?
Alert.
We had to end it on this.
Do you not have any like Masonic thing in the prison? Being there?
No, I escaped prison 17 years ago. It's
Oh,
okay.
you're retired.
Yeah, I just carry the badge to get out of speeding
tickets. I use mine for crosswalks.
And it doesn't always work, but I try to impress constables with it. Yes.
And it worked. Very impressive.
It worked. And I want to thank Larry Maris for the laugh track.
Speaking of that, it's Larry's time to shine.
Take it away, Larry.
Larry, take us out of here with a little banjo.
All right. Okay. All right.
Larry, your phone only goes to font 30.
Well, banjo music. I'm going to have to do this on the wing again because I can't get the damn phone to work. Hey, special thanks to Loxley's. What's the name of this hotel?
The Heritage Hotel.
The Heritage Hotel in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, for allowing us to do the podcast tonight. Also to our guests, which is Shaun Sponagle and brother Bryan Hill. Also to
Helm.
Jason, our producer,
And
for
Scott
always
Helm.
doing a great show.
And Scott Helm.
And Scott Helm, yeah,
Worshipful
from
Master, Past
Scarlet
Master.
Lodge, who I am going to speak at in June for all you people out there who want to hear a really
If you
great
make it, right?
speech. Right, naked, yes.
Hey, why don't we pre-record that just in case?
And Jack Harley, our news director, Pete, our host, and myself. Hey, thanks for listening.
Jason Lewis, our producer.
I did say that.
That's me.
Yeah, I did say that. Yeah. So thanks for listening, and this is Larry Maris.
Pete Ruggieri.
Jack
Bryan
Harley.
Hill.
Jack Harley.
Monarch Spooner.
Jack Harley.
Scott Helm.
Jack Harley.
Jason Lewis.
Good night. Thanks for listening.
Jack Harley.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.